Here's my guy, Cooper Mays, the Vol Report, brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Integrity matters. What's up, Coop?
Nothing much, man. Just living life. How about you?
Partying all day long, like the Kiss song.
Oh yeah. What are we doing right now? It's 2:18.
That's right. Got it rolling.
It should be party time.
That's right. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Maybe 5 o'clock and somebody's watching this. Who knows? Non-linear media at its best. So Coop, you guys got a break for the 4th. Let me see your fingers. You didn't have any fireworks incidents. Okay, so you're good. So you ready to get back? Would this be the 3rd phase of they're not real straight, by the way, the fingers, for those that aren't watching on YouTube.
It's okay.
So this would be the beginning of the 3rd phase. Is that right, of the season? Is that how you break it down now that you're back from the 4th?
I don't know what to call it. I just call it workouts. But it probably is a phase or something. 3rd phase, maybe. You're probably right. You're probably more correct than I am. 3rd phase. It makes you sound like you're more professional.
Well, which I'm not. This is what Jacob told me, that he was in the 3rd phase, 3rd quarter of the calendar. Does that sound right?
Yeah, 3rd phase then.
Okay, gotcha. So if Jacob says so, you're in the 3rd phase. Part of that for dudes like me, I get excited about SEC Media Days, and I was a little surprised you weren't going, but I understand the reasoning why. I'm curious, did you even want to go? Because I don't think it would be a lot of fun for a player, be real honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously everybody, I'm mature enough where I want to grow my brand and everything. So that would have been nice, just the exposure and kind of show that, how well I can handle myself and be a professional or what have you. But yeah, I think, Joe, Big O, Jacob, those are 3 great guys. So happy for them. I know they're going to take full advantage of it. So it's a good opportunity.
Yeah. And this is me looking from the outside perspective. You kind of have to take Joe because he's the quarterback, and then you want to take a defensive guy. So I guess I understand it, but they got enough room in the plane to take 4.
Man, who knows? I don't know. Not me.
They could just pack in 4. I wonder what the SEC would do if some school just showed up with 4 dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. Pretty big on the rules, I guess. So probably send me home right then on a Greyhound.
They'd make you do it virtual style, like COVID, like we do.
Just like this right here.
It's exactly just like this. All right. So I do want to ask you, though, now that, SEC Media Days will unfold, I'm just curious as a player, and I said this before we started, I feel like I know enough to know when I'm ignorant. And ignorance not a bad thing. It just means you don't know something. It doesn't mean you're stupid, but there are times that you say stuff even that is over my head from a football perspective. I'm not ashamed to admit that. How many times do you hear like media members say something that you're like, I don't know about all that. That doesn't sound right.
Shoot. Probably more often than not, I would say. I don't know. It's just like hard. It's not like anybody's fault or anything, but it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like when you see people like these some of these external grading services, like they'll grade somebody a 90 on the season or whatever, and then they'll grade somebody else like a 64. Well, in some cases you see the 90 and the 64 and you're like, oh wow, he did really good. But if you look at the players, sometimes the guy that's grading out a 64 is better than the guy that's grading out a 90. So when I say this, I kind of wrap it all back and it can make sense. These people and a lot of the media members look through a perspective and a lens that isn't the same as what we're looking through, if that makes sense. So it would be like a carpenter going to judge a welder. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
You know what a good weld looks like, but you don't really know what it took to get there. So you're kind of unqualified to judge somebody on how they're getting there, if that makes sense.
Wow. Now that's a great way of putting it. And I've always thought it was the job of the media to report as accurately as possible what is said. Of course, there are times where you have to attribute sources and that sort of thing. But what gets on my nerves sometimes is when I hear what you said, and that's some analysis analysis of scheme or a player's play, that's what kind of bugs me from time to time.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there's definitely some base level stuff that, I mean, anybody with two eyes can see. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some stuff that's obvious, but a lot of people try to make commentary and comments, like, even these guys that you see like commentating the biggest games of the season, they'll comment on O-line play. And even some guys that used to play the game, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's people that comment on O-line. Like, I'm just going through, this is my lens right here, O-line. This is
Yeah.
my. So when people try to like comment on O-line play, I don't watch a lot of football. We've been over this before, but like when I do watch, I see the commentators like trying to explain what the O lineman did wrong or what he did right or what went wrong. And I'm like, that's just not, not the correct analysis at all. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
No, I do. And sorry about my stupid phone, but by the nature of it, it's a very complicated game. I mean, you play baseball too. You're a standout baseball player, but football's really, really complicated, even from position to position.
Yeah, no, like that's why I say when we talk about stuff like quarterbacks and Joe and stuff like that, I have no clue.
And Coop, that's what you talk about the quarterback position and you talk about other positions, but football is so specified that you're doing great. Any person, any man walking the face of the earth to be an expert at one position, much less across the board like analysts are asked to do sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean that shows a lot of what happens in the coaching realm, So if you look at guys like we got a great example, Mackenzie Milton. So obviously Mackenzie Milton was a standout player at Florida State and UCF back for Heupel back in the day. So we brought him on, and now he's working, with our O line. So I mean, if you see, just kind of look at the importance of it in the coaching realm, the biggest thing you can do is branch out and learn other positions, because when you start branching out, that's when you understand the whole game, if that makes sense. Now, no matter how much football I learn, I probably won't know exactly what Joe is doing right or wrong on his throws or anything, but I can understand the whole scheme. And for me, I'm even still working at it, and I feel like I'm a pretty intelligent cat out there. So, I mean, it's not anybody's fault that they're not super in tune with it, but it just makes you look at it twice when people talk as if they know very much about what they're talking about when they don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I would think you being from a football family that you probably understood the nuances and what it's like to mesh and work together with other offensive linemen earlier than most.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the whole basis of a line is just being unified. So I tell people all the time, and I use this, and it puts it in perspective. If we're all wrong, but if all five of us are wrong, you know what I'm saying? We can all be wrong, but as long as all five of us are wrong, it's okay. Because when you're on the same page, it can shake out, it can buff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I wonder how that can sometimes affect effort if you're unsure. So I want to ask you that again. The Vol Report with Cooper Mays brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Maybe you don't need a whole new unit. Maybe you just need a part or some coolant. That's what City Heating and Air Conditioning does. Cityheatandair.com. So from I know that you give great effort, but how much easier is it to give great effort when you're 100% sure of what you're supposed to do and there's no tentativeness?
There's no like how much easier. It literally changes if you can play fast or slow. Because like if you don't know for sure what you're doing 100% of the time, there's no way you can really play hard, because you're never like going 100 miles per hour to nowhere doesn't really do anything, if that can put it into perspective for you. But like, yeah, you're never really able to play fast until you're confident, and confidence comes with repping it over and over and figuring it out for yourself. And it's a lot, but it's what you got to do.
So when you play different positions before you settled at center, were you ever really confident at those positions 100%?
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, so even what comes along with that lens you're looking through, it also is really, really small. So like when I played left guard and D tackle. I thought I knew a lot, but the problem is I knew a lot looking through this lens right here. But when you get to college, it just like the game changes so much from high school to college because in high school you don't really think about much less the whole group of offense, more like you don't even understand the whole defense, if that even makes sense. Like I'm
Mhm.
at this point, I'm trying to figure out what our whole offense is doing. Like receivers, I'm trying to figure out like who we're reading at quarterback, like on runs and passes, like reading the safeties in the on the defense. Like I'm looking at like the whole picture. But back in the day, I didn't even like realize to look at how the whole defensive box looked, like the front eight, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And I want to go back to something you said earlier. If you ask the average analyst out there, they would say the toughest defensive lines that Tennessee went against was LSU, Alabama. They'd probably throw those out there. But you said something. This has been months ago where you said Pitt was one of the toughest. Is that an example where maybe the media missed it a little bit?
I think that's more just people. I mean, obviously, reporters are gonna like pump up big SEC schools all the time, like LSU and Alabama, and it's like I said, O line and D line play, even more O line play than D line play, but like the trenches are like very understudied and under familiarized. Like I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I've been blessed with some good OCs that understand it, but a lot of even offensive coordinators at the highest levels of college football don't understand O line play. Like you'll see it go to a practice and you'll see the O line in the corner by themselves, working by themselves with nobody else helping them. Like nobody understands us. We're like the missing group. So that's why it just kind of irks me when you see like going back to like analysts and stuff. That's when it irks me to see people like that trying to confidently like put their opinion out when they just don't have any clue, probably.
Yeah, because on the O line, you can take one misstep, right? And I don't care how strong you are, you're not going to overcome a misstep sometimes, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, really, they talk about game of inches. Like, it's not talking about like what is. It's talking about the ball, obviously, like how far the running back gets. But I mean, literally every part of this game is a game of inches. Like, if your eyes are in the wrong spot for a half second, the blitz is by you. If you step with the wrong foot and the guy hits out, you're falling on your face. Like if you go too far, then you're losing your leverage on the block. I mean, like there's literally, and I didn't even understand this until like maybe 2 years ago. There's people all over. I guarantee you, if you go into any line room in college football, you're gonna find a good portion of them that probably don't truly get the game yet. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's hard to even ask an analyst to because there's people that you see in it doing it and they don't see the whole picture either. You know what I'm saying?
No, completely. Um, Amari Thomas will go to SEC Media Days based off our conversation with you. That didn't surprise me. I thought yeah, I think a lot of him based off my conversation with you. What's Amari's offseason been like, and how good can that cat be?
Oh, it's good as he wants to be. He's a guy that has a really great frame and size. You know, good athlete, great athlete, can move well. He's very well rounded. I think the best thing about Omari is that he's not. This sounds, I guess, kind of bad in a way, but he's not like very one like dominant at one thing. Like he's a very well rounded player. Plays the run well, plays pass well. He's good at pass rushing. Can get home from D tackle spot. Like that's not very common, especially at the college game. So he's one of those guys that can get back to the quarterback at the three technique, at the 2-eye. And plus, he's a guy that's a good leader. All the off the field stuff is good with him. Smart guy. Just checks all the boxes. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Yeah. And see, I'm willing to admit that you said three technique, which I know what that means, but you said 2-eye. I don't know what that means. And I'm willing to admit that. So I think Joe's the type of guy that will really enjoy SEC Media Days. Am I wrong?
No, you're probably right. I would say. I'd say he probably yeah, he'll probably have a nice suit on. I would guess some nice shoes, probably
He
some good glasses.
he's okay with the spotlight, right?
He probably thrives in it. He's like a fry at McDonald's, just basking in it. You know what I'm saying?
Fry at McDonald's, basking in the
The
spotlight.
only reason why I say that, it came to mind because it's National Friday yesterday, and McDonald's was giving out free fries. I didn't even pull up and get any. So,
Do you eat that clean where you didn't even get free fries? What the?
nah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm some like Superman or anything, but I eat decently. I had just had like steak and there was some broccoli in there, baked potato,
Pretty good.
some fruit. Yeah, no, it's good. It was kebabs. So
Yeah, pretty.
yeah,
Do you think Joe, because he's gonna get asked this 15,000 times at SEC Media Days? Do you
can
think?
he 80+ yards?
Yeah. Do you think he ever gets sick of that? Have y'all talked about that?
I don't know. I would probably get sick of it. I'd probably stop throwing the ball so far. I'd probably be like, screw it. I'm about to just start throwing it. Like, I would have probably went down to Manning Passing Academy. I probably would have thrown it like 67. Like, and everybody would be like, what the hell's going on?
I mean, if everybody told you you can snap it really hard, well, that's just part of the skill set. That doesn't mean you're a great center. It's almost a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just know that hearing something that much must be exhausting. That's all I mean. That's all I will say. I don't know what kind of compliment or whatever it is. I just know that it's a lot, probably.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot for him at SEC Media Days. Well, I will go ahead and say this, that you know that I think the world of you and Jacob, and you guys would have been one too, who I would take to SEC Media Days. And I don't think it's any great honor. I think you would have been bored after hearing the same question 38,000 times. But you're as good of a spokesman as there is that I've covered. You and Jacob are fantastic. So we look forward to visiting with you each and every week. So will you watch to see how Jacob and Joe and Amari do when it's on SEC Network, to see if they maybe flub up a little bit?
I don't watch TV, but I'm sure I'll see clips.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the compliment of that whole thing right there. That was awesome. That was nice.
Well, that's true. It's
unbiased. So
yeah, right. No, I mean, no, it's 110% true. Cooper Mays, the one, the only. Love visiting with him. We enter the third quarter, we think, of the calendar or something like that, and
phase 3.
Phase 3, DEFCON 3 in Knoxville. He's Cooper Mays. I'm Dave Hooker. The Vol Report with Cooper brought to you by City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Integrity matters. This has been a production of Off the Hook Sports.